Hello friends, I hadn't painted and played with my black paper for quite some time, so I thought I want to play with that. Now normally what I have always used on my white paper, or my black paper is metallics, which is gorgeous as we all know, but I was playing a little bit late last night and I thought of a couple things and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to share this with you guys. So I am going to, use just a bit of this nature series. You know, I love this one by MABs, just to kind of, for some of the leaves, but for the most part, and by the way, if you ever try these metallics, you barely need any water in here. But for the most part, I'm going to play with the Winsor Newton Zinc White. Gouache. I also want to play, so I put some of that in my little palette here. I don't like to mix it with all my regular watercolors. And then I'm also going to use just a tiny bit of the Mylang White. So we're kind of playing here today. So let's do this. I'm wetting my brush, and I'll tell you right now, this is my brush in my little set that hopefully I think we're going to bring it back out in this summer. I don't usually use my brush, my watercolor brushes for gouache because I just like to keep them separate. Gouache can be a little bit thicker and I just like to keep them separate, but the brushes do great with them. So what I'm going to do is when I'm done, I'm just going to use some of that Masters brush cleaner. So let's create a flower here. I'm going to move that over because I'm not going to be using that too much, although I think I will use some of the bright yellow for maybe this center. Okay, so we're going to start here, and I'm going to kind of freehand this, guys, because I don't think pencil is going to show up very well here. A little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I can. So if you want, you know, draw your little center of your flower, and then you can draw a leaf coming or petal coming that way, that way, that way, which that one will be higher. And then we'll do some in the back. So I don't know if you can catch that, see that in, because I'm using this Stonehenge Aqua Cold Press black paper. I'll put all the links below. I'll grab my links I used. So I am going to just sketch this a little bit. So there's one petal, maybe one coming down there, like it's kind of small. I should have done this bigger, like that. And then maybe one coming out in the back here, something like that. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to kind of play with both the just white paint in the Mylang, which is this one right here. I never use this, you guys. And I'm going to play with that push-pull method. So, and you know what? Actually, let's do this. I want to start a little bigger because you guys aren't going to be able to see that. So let's do a little bigger flower here. So we've got the center of our flower, and we'll come out here, come out there, out here, and let's just play a little together here. So those are going to be my guidelines I use. Okay, so this is just the white paint from my Mylang. I'm not, you know, I kind of played with this last night, you guys, but not positive how I'm going to do this. So let's just play. So it's showing up quite well because, of course, this is black paper. So I'm just using this, and I'm going to add a bit more water. I was kind of going thicker because I wanted to make sure it was going to show up like that. A little more water. And do this leaf coming out here. Now I'm going to add quite a bit of water. So my brush is pretty watered down. I've rinsed it. Now let's just try that push-pull method. Let's see if that works here. It does. So what I'm kind of liking about this is, now I'm just flicking, is it's going to give this like a transparent look. So yeah, that's actually working. I hope you can see that. And I believe, I hope I'm saying her name right, Liesel did something similar to this. So there we go. What I want to do on that now, and this is where I'm not positive, but I'm going to pick up some of that yellow paint. And let's put some of that in there. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of pretty. Now what I'll try, rinsing my brush, is I'm gonna use some of, you could use a credit card or whatever you want, and let's, ooh, yeah, okay. This was what I was hoping for, was when I did this and scraped away with this, it exposed the black paper underneath. So that's what I was really hoping for. So let's just put a bit more of that yellow in the center, and I'm going a bit heavier with my pigments. So this is probably 80% pigment, 20% water, because otherwise this is not really going to show up on black paper, and I just want to kind of add that center in. Now while that's drying, and you've seen me do this a lot, this is where I'm going to use that white. I think this is a titanium white, or I'm sorry, zinc white, and it's from Winsor Newton. I wanted to try both, this, and this is gouache. And again, check out Liesel. She did this similar. Of course, I put my spin on it. Now here's where I'm not positive if I can soften those lines, but we're gonna see in a minute here. Okay, let's see if we can soften those up a bit. I didn't watch your whole tutorial. I just kind of saw it go by in my feed. So here I keep rinsing my brush, tapping it off, no paint on there at all. And I'm kind of pulling again. Actually more pulling. So I wanted to do this so you could see, you know, sometimes just the value of playing with some of these things, and you just never know what you're going to come up with. So let's do our next petal here. So I'll start with the Mylang. This is the watercolor. And let's create, so it's definitely, you know, more, the gouache is more opaque. And there we go. And then pull out. Just literally, oh, and you know what? I'm even getting some of that yellow in there, which is great. Again, this is the value of playing. Now what I'll do, rinse my brush really well, tap it off so it's kind of a thirsty brush, and let's try that push-pull. Now again, I think this push-pull is going to work much better with the gouache because the watercolor is so translucent. But I think it's a really pretty transparent type look. Let's add a little bit of the gouache and see if I can push and pull that. Okay. Rinsing my brush. So it's just damp. And I'm just really pulling that out. So we're gonna see where we go with this. Now I'll use the stippler. Ooh, I'm really liking that. I've never done that on here, but I really like that look. Hopefully you can see that. So let's just keep going here. Let's see here. Okay, so let's go on to our next petal here. So I'll start with just the tip of my brush, and this is the Mylang watercolor. And I'm gonna make this one quite fat. Like that. Maybe I might end up putting something in the back there. And then here we go, light pressure, just pulling out like that. Ooh, I actually really like that. Rinse my brush, tap it off on paper towel. And now I'm just lightly, I might need a little bit more water, pulling that out. Yeah, this is actually really fun. There we go. So we've got another little thing going on there. Now, if I really want that to be a bright white, that's where this gouache comes in. And again, I'm gonna really wash my brush with that brush cleaner. So look at that. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I did. And if you use dry brush, you can get some of that texture. Really wash my brush. Let's use this. Whew, I'm loving this. Never thought to use that with black paper, but I'm kind of liking this, you guys. And let's go to this one here. So I'll start with the Mylang. There we go. And let's see, let's create a petal coming out here. Light pressure, need a little bit more water. And now these flicks, and I'm getting a bit of that dry brush, which I really wanted. So let's see if we can add some of that, pull some of that yellow into there. I don't want to, yeah, just like that. Now, normally the yellow wouldn't really show up on the black paper, but because I'm rinsing my brush here, going over the white, it tends to show up more. But if I was just to put that on white, I mean on the black paper, it may not. And I'll go back afterwards and add in more yellow there. All right, and I'm not even gonna fill a lot of that in. So, rinsing my brush. We've got a couple more petals here. Oh, and I didn't even use the gouache on that one. I kind of had them both here just in case, because I wasn't sure which I might be using more of. And then here's our little, and again, you could do this with a credit card, like with whatever you want. So there you go. I think this is actually kind of cool. Okay, back into my white. Here we go. Just, I mean, the lightest pressure for that part coming out. And then maybe even here. And I think I will also pull out some of that. So rinse my brush really good. Wash and rinse it. Tap it off so it's pretty dry. And this is like that push-pull method that you've seen me do, but I'm not really doing the push part. Just lightening up a bit of that. There we go. And I'm pretty much like, I'm your guinea pig here. I'm pretty much playing with this as we're going. Let's do a little bit of that stippling. There we go. And let's do this petal right here, really big and beautiful. So I'm finding the white watercolor actually does pretty well. There we go. And then lightest touch ever. So you see I get that dry brush a bit. There you go, pretty easy. Wash, rinse, and I can pull out some of that with just a damp brush. Softening that line. Yeah, it's kind of fun. I'm kind of digging this. Some of that yellow just in the center. And I'm going to go back in actually there. Now this is where probably a yellow gouache might do a little bit better. It's showing up quite well though. Let me pull out my yellow gouache. I had it out the other day. If I can find it now, let's see. Because I think it will, no, I don't have it here, but the yellow would show up quite a bit brighter and more. Can't find it right now. I was using it for daisies the other days playing. So there you go. Let's go in there with, let's see, what else could we go in there with? How about some, I almost don't know if I want to put any metallics on this because I think it's kind of cool being simple like this. Let's do a little bit more of the white to really pop that out. So that really gets it out there. And I could add a big leaf up here. We could do that with either the white gouache or the white paint. So let's do that maybe here. Now I'm going to keep it white, but it could be a green, and I'm kind of debating right now if I should do it the green to give it that contrast. Not sure. I'm going to try white first. Now I'm going along that edge just with a damp brush. I feel like I want to add a little bit of green in there. Let's see what happens. Just a touch. But hopefully you saw how this worked, and I think that did pretty well. Yeah, I kind of like the green. I wanted this to be relatively simple. But we know that green is really gonna pop. Kind of going around the edges here. There we go. Look how fun, you guys. I mean, look at that. How about if we do another one coming out here? So we can outline it first with our white. Let's see. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should make this a petal. Let's just keep going with the petals. Honestly, I'll put another leaf over here. We're doing this as we go, guys. There we go. And just a little bit of a damp brush. Like that. Now I could actually turn that into a petal, but I think I'm going to leave it like that. Maybe we could do another one over here. Let's just keep going. There we go. So we have another kind of tucked behind petal there. Kind of fun. Let's see. Let's balance this out a bit with another leaf maybe coming out over here. I know it's running off the page, but you know what? I kind of like doing that. So I'm going to grab some of that green, turn my page here. Yeah, I kind of like, years ago when I was doing a lot of commissions, I ran my leaves and things off the page all the time. So there we go. I think I'll do another one up here. So I've got that green. I might as well just go for the green. And we might as well do some veining here. That one dried, so. Oops, look what I did. You may not be able to pick out that veining. Let's go here. There we go. And I will kind of pull that out, fill it in, just like I did with the flower, so a little different technique there. I mean, I could really get that green to pop if I really wanted to, like this over here, just by adding in more of that. But I think this is kind of dramatic. I feel like I want to add in another leaf down here. So let's go in there, grab some of that green, and I want to make it like almost a triangle. So let's start here. Something like that. I'm going to use water on that and soften it up just with some water. Yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe we could even bring it behind this leaf or petal. There we go. I think that's kind of pretty. So there you go, just something different to play with. I wish I had my yellow gouache here. I really kind of wanted to use that for the center because I think that would really make it pop. But just not seeing it here. So give this a try. Meanwhile, let's try really, really, really thick with that yellow and see what we get. So I'm going into this lemon yellow, really thick. And let's see what if we can pop out. It does pretty good, actually. Like that. I think that pops quite a bit. All right, well, I hope you guys give this a try. Again, and after, by the way, because I used gouache, I'm going to use this brush cleaner just because I want to make sure all of that gouache is out of my brush. See, it's even getting some of that out. See the yellow? So this stuff really does work. I mean, I rinsed that good. And now I'll just wash that under warm water, but look at all that yellow it's getting out and the white. Just rinse it really good. Make sure it's all out. I'll probably rinse it a couple more times and then I'll shape it back into the point and we're ready to go. All right, everybody, I hope that was interesting for you. I thought it was kind of fun. I will link my, the link I used in Amazon for this black paper. It's really fun, it's dramatic, and you know, try just going with a white flower. I think it's a lot of fun. All right, I'll see you soon, and happy painting.